question is, why is mental health important in the marketplace? It's really very important. Before, one of the conversations HR has been having in the last 6 years, if you follow management trends, is the concept of work-life balance. That means there must be a balance between work and life. And we found out recently, especially in this part of the world, that people are starting to get to talk and open up about what it is that triggers how they feel, how they work, and how they respond. That's one. Then primarily, we've also got into a place where we've come to realize that everything we do does not happen in a bubble. So you are either being triggered by something or you are triggering something. And one of the easiest way I like to break it down is that people forget one thing, that emotions themselves are a vehicle that give expression to human beings. So that means you can't be at the workplace and be a master at what you do without mastering your emotions. So when I get to talk about that, one of the things I like to share is my own formula for work. I mean, for emotions and behavior. And I think this is a fundamental background. If people get this, then it's easier. And it's this simple formula of E plus R equals O. I'm not teaching, I'm not sharing. I know I'm in class. And it's a simple formula that says that your emotion plus your response equals your outcome. So if you have a core understanding of that, then you understand why in the marketplace you are consistently throwing emotions at business, consistently throwing emotions at people, consistently throwing emotions at situations, at circumstances, and these things by themselves are so dynamic that they keep on changing. So there is no one size fits all, and if you don't have the control of your emotion, you will lose it. And when you lose it, it determines whether or not you're a peak performer or a low performer at the marketplace. So in that light, you must learn to master your emotions, master everything that has to do with you. Otherwise, you will lose control of your stress level and you won't be able to perform at maximum.
Okay, thank you very much. I like the fact that you mentioned stress. So now we'll be going to KRIS. Meanwhile, this conversation is going to be an actual conversation. So all of us here will have this conversation. There'll be questions and answers, so please prepare your questions. The moment KRIS is done with her part, you will be able to ask a question or make a comment, as the case may be. So how does the workplace, society, and all of that affect our mental state? Or how does it stress us?
Thank you. So Kolade has basically answered that question. And towards the end, you said something about stress, right? Not being able to have control over stress. One of the things we need to realize is we've always had the wrong attitude towards stress. There's been this saying or this mentality that stress is bad and stress is the cause of the main problems that we have.
I thought it was bad.
Yeah, it's bad because of our attitude towards it, right? Something can be toxic when your attitude and your relationship towards it is toxic, because the results you get from it is going to be what you're giving out. So what we've learned over the years and research has shown is that stress is not bad, stress is good, stress is actually a tool. So rather than seeing stress as bad, you see it as a tool, something that you can use for your benefit. And how it does factor in the workplace is, the workplace accounts for most of the stress issues that we have. The workplace generally is a stressful environment, right? As long as we understand that stress is a fundamental aspect of what life is, and then you now carry yourself and put yourself in an environment where so much is expected of you, where there's so much demand on your capacity, on your resources, on your time, you find that the stress that you normally experience, is quadrupled. And if you're not able to understand what stress does for you, it will be impossible for you, just as he said, to control stress.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions or would like to share experiences with regards to what they've experienced?
In other law firms, you also have to factor in that where there's so much demand at the time, there's no point singling out different industries. You can have the banking sector, for instance, you have the entertainment sector, they each come with their own kind of stress. But generally, stress is stress. The individuals who are experiencing the stress that will determine how it affects them, individually. Yeah, of course. I mean, when there's a challenge with money, yeah, all right. When there's a challenge with a whole lot of other things, yes. But one thing that we like to do when I speak with organizations is we like to look at the corporate culture. What is your corporate culture? What are the workplace wellness initiatives that you have around? A lot of organizations are more interested in the bottom line, which is to make profit. And they forget that for you to make profit, you need your people. You can't make profit without your people. And one thing I ask them is, if you're looking at making profit, do you just want to make profit or do you want to thrive? Do you want to make profit or do you want to Okay, all right, good. So the fundamental question I always ask is it profit you're looking at or is it thriving? Do I go back to this? Where does it go? Or is it thriving? Thriving is different from making profit, yeah? When you thrive, you are running a sustainable business. You're running a business, a system on processes that are sustainable, right? But if it's profit, there's no sustainability, basically. And it means that if that is your sole purpose, the processes, the actions, the decisions that you make will just be all about that. So you really do not care what happens along the way. At the end of the day, we just want to make money. So most times you find that it's the employees. When two elephants fight, the grasshopper. So the employees are the ones that suffer. So there's so much pressure on them because the organization needs to meet a target. So they don't care how you get there. Just get there. At the risk of their mental health, at the risk of their physical health, at the risk of their emotional health. So you find that in such environments, there's a lot of backbiting, there's a lot of gossip, a lot of all this side speak, and it affects the mental state. It actually then disrupts productivity. So you find the same thing that you're looking at getting, you're actually losing it because of your approach.
Okay, I like where you have taken us to, and I'd like Coach Kolade to talk about whether the size of the organization could influence their ability to actually effect all of these things you've highlighted.
Sorry, most definitely. The size of the organization often always depends. And then since you are narrowed down to the law industry, I would be kind enough to use examples without mentioning names. Yeah, I will. I know you were, but an organization that is employed that has about 50 employees definitely will do bigger numbers as opposed to an upstart business or an SME or one that is trying to scale. So definitely the size of the business determines the level at which, that's number one. Number two, and then she said something that was very beautiful, which is that you would say the stress level of every organization determines on the culture, yeah? That is one thing. Another thing, approach I think we should also have beyond the work culture is the work climate. That is one thing we also don't talk about. So what is the climate? The climate differs from the culture. They're two different things. And who creates the climate at the workplace that is an avenue for rest or being able to backtrack? And I'll share a personal example that I found a bit strange. So there's this popular Chinese company I had gone to pitch. They had introduced me to do a presentation. I think I was driving and I think I was running about some few minutes late. So I called saying, I will be at the office about 20 minutes late. I'm in traffic. And he said, okay. So I got into the office, got into the waiting area, and I had a culture shock, standard Nigerian. So I got in and they said that the time I came in was the time for nap, that I would need to wait 1 hour to go into the boardroom. In Nigeria, yeah, I was like, or something, because it was strange. So I sat back, and immediately the guy told me, I noticed that everybody around me literally was either finding a place to lay their head and just they were sleeping. And I was like, what am I for one salary? Because I couldn't reconcile it. And they went ahead to sleep, and exactly when it was 45 minutes, it was like, I don't know whatever they did, but everybody just jostled up, pulled their jackets, and they invited me to come and do my pitch. Konoma. Right? So the culture was there, but they had created a climate where even though the people who were working for the business were not Nigerians, they had begun to pick a certain culture. So I started a strategy session earlier in the year with a business, a telco, and this was some of the things that they said. There's a law firm I know in this country that when you go there, they have this sleeping chambers in Nigeria. If you were in law firm, you know that they have a sleeping chamber. You work so well, you enter into your chamber, bam, it gives you good sleep, right? And then down their office, they have a table tennis court, they have a snooker, they have a balance board. So the environment and the climate is designed such that we work at as much as we play hard, right? Then, there's another law firm that I know. Thank God you don't know them. You can guess in your mind. Where, you can laugh again. So the biggest challenge they had when I was supposed to work with them was that the head of the business, head of the law practice, and the assistant head of the law practice, family law firm, don't know how not to be around. So they have the biggest problem of micromanaging, whether they are in country or out of the country. So they had associates, they had partners who were working themselves to the bone. So we created a scenario and I said, okay, which was meant for the people at the top, at the management level. And I said, okay, so can we all write down 10 worst case scenarios that will happen if both of you are not in charge of the business? It was trouble. It was real trouble. And I think after that exercise, I think the realization now hit home that they needed to, let go of a level of control, let go of certain things so that they could show the people who work with them that there was trust. Because I said that was a blatant, loud noise about I don't trust you enough to give you control of this business. Or I don't trust you enough. And they're doing well. They're doing very well. They have lots of international clients. So they are really big in the context of a law firm. So why would you do so well yet not secede trust to the people that you're working with? So the size of the business, of course, determines. A business that is moved from a startup and is probably doing bigger numbers and wants to scale further, there is the pressure of wanting to do well. There's the pressure of competition. There's the pressure of saying, okay, this is the benchmark we want to set. This is where we want to go to. How far can we push? How far can we push? Then, for the other businesses that are big, that have bigger employees, there is the constant balance. There's the constant juggle of, okay, this is how far we can push, or this is how far we can push. And she made quite good examples. Because I used to think from experience that the people who have the biggest pressure were the FMCGs, were the multinationals. And I found out that even working in recent times with the non-terrestrial radio media corporations, you will see the sort of pressure that is put on probably the presenter, the people, and you will find out that that level of work is a lot. And most times, if these things is not discussed, if nobody verbalizes this, then it becomes an issue. And I don't want you to stop, I want to stop. Then there is the big generational question. That one is a demonic matter, almost near prayer point level, where Gen Zs are coming into the market, and these Gen Z guys and their latter, they are the ones who will tell you, Ogami Oshimo, I'm not doing, take your walk, I can't die. And then they are the generation who will tell you that I would rather you pay me, I will work from home, because they are willing to sacrifice the pay and just get convenience. Because I tell my was stressed, life is not that hard. You know, the waku now, that's the way they process thoughts.
Okay, I like where you took us to, because I was going to ask about stressed bosses. Yes, because we shouldn't assume that it's only the workers that get stressed. I've had conversations with owners of businesses that say their biggest challenge is not even getting people that want to do the job, it's people that can actually get the job done. So when you're saying those guys don't want to hands off, and that maybe they have trust issues that you think that their subordinates would notice, it could also be that they are not quite sure.
That was also one of the issues that came out, which was the high attrition rate and the japalization pill that has been thrown into the market, which is the reality. So, which is the same issue that they have, it's the reality that we have across board in the country. There is a dearth of talent. Everybody everywhere is hunting for the best. You can't stop that. Just as much as you can't stop people from looking for the next best thing. Everybody wants a better life. If I was to take a poll standard of all of us sitting here, and you get, I like the way you're smiling. You know you're getting there in the spirit. So if I was to take a poll and go, if you get a visa to the UK and to Canada, will you take it? People will not think about it. So there is the place of, so that's why I like when Otumba started and he said earlier, and he said that if you can be in Nigeria for 60 years and Nigeria stress does not get to that, you are a veteran. You know, the environment, the culture, the socio-political impact, we can't deny. These things are the things that, oh God.
Coach Kolade, I know we can give you the whole day. But thank you, that's been impactful. So KRIS, would you like to round up your part of the session?
Yeah,
in regards to stress.
Regards to stress, about what you said regarding leaders who are stressed out. There was something he said, which I want to key into, when you talked about leaders who don't want to hands off. It's pretty much difficult to hands off when in your mind you think your employees are toxic. When you think your employees are going to run down your business. And a lot of times, I tell people, if you're in a toxic environment, work environment, it's actually the fault of the leaders. The leadership is totally responsible for the vibe in the workplace. I don't care how good or how bad it is. Most times they are responsible because they commit acts of omission. All right, acts of omission when they're supposed to take decisions, they don't take the decisions. Probably they have a toxic employee or he's a star employee. He brings in the big guns, right? But then he's full of himself, he's boastful, he's condescending, he's not a team player. So he spreads negativity around. But he doesn't see it. As far as it's concerned, when he has the legs or the big, so I'm interested, I'm invested in this guy at the risk of the bigger picture. So, but the wisest thing that would have been done is you focus on every individual. Like he said, we all working want to know that we matter. We want to know that we are as important as the next person because we are. You know, the fact that you're a manager does not mean you're more important than the subordinates because we each have our roles to play. Without me, you can't do yours. So the moment the organization understands that, it creates a safer environment, it creates a more engaging work environment. So, I mean, there are some places you go to, some workplaces you go to, you just enter. The vibe you get alone would either scare you or make you feel at home, right? You come in from the reception, there is a culture of happiness, of joy, of inclusivity. There are some places you go to, the coolness, you know, and then it doesn't matter how beautiful, you know. Let's not focus on the wrong thing. Sometimes we get the priorities wrong. We want to make the office beautiful. We want to bring in state-of-the-art decor. But then our staff are wallowing in poverty, they are wallowing in doubt, they are wallowing. You see the guys, they have big cars parked outside, but they do not get bonuses, for instance, yeah? They do not get health insurance, no health benefits, nothing of that sort. So everything is via mouth. They work almost 24 hours a day, there's no rest. Some of them do not even have holidays. And you want to take your holiday, you're looked at like, what is wrong with you? In such an environment, it's difficult, especially looking at the economic situation that we're in now, where every naira matters. So it's difficult for you, maybe not for the Gen Zs, but it's really difficult to say, hey, I know they do again, carry your work and go. Because you're looking at the bills that you have to pay. So a lot of people are sacrificing their mental health just to be employed. And at the end of the day, their health goes down. That's why you find people slumping at their desks, you know, heart attacks, strokes, and all that. So those are the things that we want to avoid in dialogue such as this.
Thank you so much, KRIS. Thank you. That was very, very factual. And thank you very much, Coach Kolade.
Thank you for having me.
And that's about it.